Hey guys, Ari Wintraub, your favorite LA realtor, back again today, reflecting on what I am just wrapping up is my first 10 years, 1 decade this month in real estate at Sotheby's International Realty here in LA. And to do that, I'm really excited to have been asked to sit down with my dear friend and executive business marketing consultant, Clark Vautier, to reflect and look back on those 10 years. And I'm excited to see, what I'll gain from this discussion, and hopefully you guys as well. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Almost 180,000 people have been ordered to leave their homes around Los Angeles as 5 fires continue to burn, 2 of them completely uncontained.
The housing crisis has long been an issue in Los Angeles thanks to expensive rent.
Today, the Federal Open Market Committee decided to reduce the degree of policy restraint by lowering our policy interest rate by a half percentage point.
Never miss an opportunity. Never drive by a place without turning back and popping in. You're a lead generating machine, and that's what your focus was.
Welcome to All Things Real Estate with Ari Wintraub, a show where we get to meet and learn from players within and around the real estate industry. An industry that provides incredible opportunity for creativity, entrepreneurship, and wealth building. Join me as we learn the tips and tricks from these insiders and helping us to carve out a space within this massive industry.
It was a door knock. I had a dog, so after work I'd walk my neighborhood with the dog and drop off flyers, and I got a call on that. I met a client who became my longest, best client, that's bought like 8 properties with me. Day to day is chosen by where's the next closing. And that's his task. His tasks are, answered by that. But instead, we gravitate towards, I want to go to the photo shoot and stand around for 3 hours.
The busy work.
Doing something that might, be more fruitful.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like an ongoing challenge and reminder that you got to, use your time wisely and focus on the results. I mean, a top producer, why this property sold, 40%. With 61 offers, which was a record.
Wow.
A record in our office and maybe on the Westside.
I think it'd be really fun to share some of the experiences you've had, the lessons you've learned, and some stories along the way. So can you just give us a little background on who you are, how you got into real estate, and how it all began?
Yeah, it was a second career. It was the end of my 30s, transitioning out of stuff that wasn't really sticking or working. Really kind of frightening time, actually, to be, that far along in life and not knowing what the heck I was going to do. So I had a few options. Real estate was one of them. And
Why did you choose real estate? Was it a conversation with someone? How'd you do it?
Well, there weren't a lot of other options,
And so you were like, hey, let me check this out. Let me get licensed.
Yeah, I've been around, some brokers and always, enjoyed, design and property. And, it's like everyone knows, it's got a low barrier of entry. So it was, get licensed and give it a try. I think a lot of the success and it actually panning out had to do with the point in my life that I was in. So if I had tried that in my 20s, it wouldn't have stuck. Because it required, focus and commitment. And then also coming into the right environment. I came into an amazing office at Sotheby's in Brentwood with a great manager.
That's where you started?
I started,
At Sotheby's, okay.
Exactly, still in that office. And so to come into an office with great leadership and a great mentor and colleagues who were willing to share things with me. But again, having mentorship, having the top guys in the office, taking me under their wing, having a manager that understood what it took and was constantly giving us ideas. It quickly became clear to me that it was all about building my network and my sphere of influence to be able to lean into.
How long before you got your first deal?
I think it was probably about 5 months.
Okay. And tell us about that very first deal.
Yeah, it was a door knock. I I had a dog, so after work I'd walk my neighborhood with the dog and drop off flyers.
Wow.
And I got a call on that. At the same time, in that, half-year marker, I met a client who became my longest, best client. That's bought like 8 properties with me.
Okay.
Met her out at a kind of rave outdoor techno party through a friend on a Sunday.
Right.
Downtown, and got her going on a townhome. Had a referral from my mentor, and that was a great deal because the lead, I was showing her stuff and found her something off market, talked to a person walking their dog. Quickly, it became clear and known to the people around me that I was happy to talk to anyone, anytime, anywhere.
Well, that's who you are.
That's me. So that's how I, worked those first 3 deals and pieced together a decent first year.
So I know it's all familiar to you now. You're used to the language, the lingo, the formulas. But back then, your very first deal, were you nervous?
Again, I hate to be cliche, but it's so true. I tell young agents that, talk to me about getting in the industry, and they go, what company, should I do this brand or this brokerage? And I always say it doesn't matter the brokerage, as long as you're not in some, C-level, mom and pop. As long as you're one of the good brokers, it doesn't matter which one. What matters more is the guidance that you're going to receive in that office. And everyone's situation is different, but I come back to that, understanding the contracts. My mentor, Stephen Moritz, he had me around. He worked like a lot. I was in a good market, right? 2014, 15, 16, it was really going up. So there was a lot of deals. I was in the right office, and a lot of business was going on. But you had to be there to be able to learn from it. I'd put his signs out at like 7 in the morning on a Sunday. I would drive out to Encino with him during rush hour just so I could be in the car listening to the calls on speakerphone to understand how he was handling buyers and clients and, requests for repairs. So I was lucky to be in a good office, but I also, like I said, was at the right point in my life that I was willing to put in the work and the hours to be able to absorb it and benefit from it.
What was the biggest challenge you faced in the beginning?
Like everyone, what deals do you chase? It's like in the same work you do as a, marketing consultant. What clients do you want to choose time with? So I remember, my mentor's like, are you really thinking this is the best use of your time showing, rentals for $3,000 downtown when our office was in Brentwood?
Yep.
So that's the challenge. The
challenge being saying no to certain opportunities.
Exactly. I think that's a challenge for all of us in any business, but especially for realtors. Like right now, I'm texting with the prospect, and I'm just getting the feeling that it's going to be a time suck, and I'm now at the point where I can, choose when people are, going to be serious. And
that's a good point.
Yeah.
That experience gives you knowing when to say yes, knowing when to say no. So would you say you've gotten pretty sharp at that today?
No, I'm going to say sharper, less dull, because going back to what you and I have coached on, and that's why I'm excited that we're doing this, because you got great, leadership and ideas and things that you've, given to me over the years on all our hikes and talks and walks and coaching. And one of those things is this, low ease, high yield,
high
impact, right?
Yeah.
So you've been trying to get me focused on choosing the low-hanging fruit that has the most results. But instead, we gravitate towards, I want to go to the photo shoot and stand around for 3 hours.
The busy work.
Yeah. Opposed to, doing something that might, be more fruitful.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like an ongoing challenge and reminder that you got to, use your time wisely and focus on the results. I mean, a top producer in my office, his day-to-day is chosen by where's the next closing.
Yeah.
And that's his task. His tasks are, answered by that.
Very focused. Yeah. So, Ari, you're 10 years in. Do you still love it?
Yeah, I do. I love the fact that I, every day, am getting that perfect mix of, contract work, networking, and then, creative. I mean, what other job has that? Realtor work is amazing if you have the clients and you have deals to work on. It is hands down the best job if you're actually listing a property and working with a buyer and closing a sale. Why not, right? Everything's great about it. Challenging, a little stressful, but rewarding, fun, engaging. It has all those things, but you need to have the clients.
Right.
So it's
Without
the worst.
the clients,
it's the worst job if 4, 5, 6 months go by and there's no deal.
Yeah. So you're a people person. Tell us about an average week today.
Every day
In terms
starts.
of how in terms of what you spend your time on, what are you doing, the activities.
Every day it starts. It's supposed to start, and the goal is, so everything's time blocked, right? Everything's set. Own your calendar, right? Which is your phrase.
Yep.
And I got this idea at an office meeting from one of my first manager about owning my morning, and so I ran with that idea. It was this YouTube video he popped up in a sales meeting. So I time blocked the morning 2 hours, 8 to 10, supposed to be doing nothing else but reaching out and connecting with people.
Yep.
And so that's the goal for 5 mornings a week.
And that's become a habit for you.
Yeah, it's become a habit, and if I land 3 of them, then that's better than not having one of those mornings. So I try not to be anywhere else but at the desk, on the phone, computer, texting, just staying in touch with people. And then from there, it's, as the day goes, appointments, showings. I try to have lunch scheduled, a couple days a week. You never eat alone, so that's typically, how the start of the day goes. I like to time block workouts, so, it's going to be regular, training or workout, or we have a Thursday night workout I do. The start of the week, I like to stay late.
Yep.
So yeah, it's.
So you're an interesting hybrid because you also invest, right? And so how do you balance the two roles? Basically, as a realtor, you've got your real estate business, and as an investor, you have your real estate holdings. How do you juggle the two?
Yeah, it's juggling and then like feeding off each other, like we've talked about. I think, mentors sort of warned against, mixing the two. No client is going to, or clients might be wary of working with you if they know that you're a buyer as well.
Okay.
I mean, it's so stupid because there's so many opportunities out there for people, and how much can I really buy in 1 year?
And you've also mentioned in the past you're surprised more realtors don't invest, right?
Yeah, I think they do. There's a lot that do, and I know we've talked about this, but it is easy, right? I'm on the MLS every day. I understand how the deals work. I have the vendors. I have access, like I said, to the MLS, but in addition, I'm just out in the field, seeing real estate.
Yeah.
And so it's very, conducive for that. And, for me, it's been multifamily, value add apartment units. Some people enjoy, flipping.
Yep.
But the balance has been helped by having a full-time assistant.
Yep. When did you take on a full-time assistant?
I think like 4 years ago.
4 years. And that was a game changer?
Yeah, it was. I mean, the old understanding is that realtors don't hire soon enough. Like a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
We're afraid.
It's how you scale.
Yeah, we're afraid that we're not going to be able to keep the income coming, and so to have that,
But the flip side is it puts a fire in your belly to, hey, I got to justify this hire.
Yeah, I've always been able to justify it.
Yeah.
And so now I have a right-hand guy that is able to help me with the property management and the repositioning of the units and the banking, the financing. But all of that I feel like has really helped me be able to serve my clients. Like I'm working on a triplex for a seller now, and I get it.
Yep.
I get exactly what the buyers are going to be looking at in terms of the numbers and the cap rates, and how to properly present the property that's going to attract them.
Yep.
So it's been great. But I enjoy doing both. I don't think there'll ever be a time that I would ever, want to stop either of them.
Got it. So it's not a conflict. Just going to switch gears for a second.
Yeah.
I think stories that our listeners would like to hear is, okay, tell us a story about one of your worst clients.
That's a famous one. I mean, geez, this is like a people business, and you're dealing with all kinds of people.
Yep.
And, just this week someone was saying, oh, I can never do what you do. There's too much emotion. And typically it's not like that. I mean, great clients, that are appreciative, that I build personal relationships with. And I've always just had respectful, handlings.
But for most people, a real estate purchase is a big emotional decision, right?
Yeah.
As well as financial.
Yeah. I mean,
Tell us about a bad experience.
yeah, of course. I mean, there's been clients that second guess, selling.
Yep.
And we have a property listed, and
Can you give us a specific story?
yeah,
No names.
I mean, no, we got
No
a
names.
story. We sold a house, West Adams. There was some pushing back and forth on the repairs. A cinder block gets thrown through the window of my buyer's new house.
Wow.
Window crashed out. Through that, met the neighbor across the street, trying to find out if they had cameras to see what went down. They tell me they're selling. We're about to go in escrow. All of a sudden, they don't want to sell. So keeping that deal together, and that's where, again, it comes back to having good management. At Sotheby's, in my office, we have the best of the best.
Yep.
And so I'm able to go to my manager and able to lean in. How do we handle this situation? And so we got through it. We had a...
How did you handle it?
I think it was just, talking them down and,
Yeah.
and pointing out, the contract, that we're in and like giving them some room.
Yep.
A couple nights of like sleeping on things.
Have you ever had to fire a client?
Not that I can. Oh, once actually it was just not a house that was leasing.
Yep.
And the year was ending last year, and I was going away, and didn't think I could be of value to them anymore. I'd sort of run out of angles to work for this challenging house for lease, and so just said, I think you guys should start afresh in the new year with someone else.
There must be plenty of situations where there's a differential between what you think a place should be valued at if you're representing a seller and what the seller thinks. I imagine that comes up a lot. How do you handle that situation?
Yeah, it comes up a ton, and it's what makes or breaks our ability to, one, get the listing, and then two, be able to sell it. And so a lot of agents are known to what we call buy listings. So they're going to inflate the price and puff it.
Yep.
Because they know the seller's interviewing multiple brokers, and they're going to lean towards the one that says their
Right.
property's worth more.
But you have to justify your valuation, right?
Yeah.
With comps and
Of course.
experience.
Of course, and that's nuanced. That's what I like about the work I was saying, like that's a very technical,
Yeah.
Component. And, in the end, you have to be confident with your pricing. And
Yeah.
you have to be able to lose a listing because the seller isn't seeing the reality.
Can you give us an example where you did actually, you misjudged?
Oh yeah, I mean I've misjudged more often in being undervalued.
Okay.
Okay, but as we know, in a strong market like Los Angeles, there's going to be enough buyers that if it is underpriced,
It'll find its value.
it's going to find its value.
What about the opposite?
So I've done that, and we had a record and this was a more stressful period ever in my work, career, was in 2021 when
Yeah.
I listed a property in Brentwood that was a tear down.
So we're still in COVID, right?
Still in COVID. And I wrote a blog about it called A Perfect Storm. And there was 5 factors of why this property sold, 40% with 61 offers, which was a
Wow.
record.
Wow.
A record in our office and maybe on the Westside.
And
And
you started it undervalued.
yeah, I started undervalued, didn't get it right. It would have been a lot easier for me and for my office and my manager and our relationship and my colleagues. It caused a lot of
But the end
strain.
result,
The end result was phenomenal.
would it
yeah.
have been, if you'd priced it more fairly, do you think you would have gotten the same interest?
No, wouldn't have. It was a tweener, so it was attracting in a hot market something that would sometimes be considered a tear down, but it was, priced that people would buy it and want to live in it and fix
Yeah.
it up. And it was also, priced very well for a tear down, which is what ended up happening. But that was an example of, underpricing, and yeah, it causes strain with your colleagues when it becomes so competitive and their buyers don't stand a chance. But, in the end, our, duty is to get the, best sales
your
price,
client-
and that's what happened.
So your client was very happy.
Yeah.
What mistakes have you made that you've learned from?
Oh, I mean, that's a thing now, Thomas, who works with me, we're constantly like talking about the mistakes. I don't know why more. It's not that we're making them. It's just that like I'm in the, the phase where I'm like comfortable knowing that, we hit a lot of things out of the park, but we're just constantly chit-chatting about how we can be better.
So can you give us a specific example of a mistake that you made in the past?
Yeah, just this year, we had a good opportunity to be on both sides of an off-market sale, and the buyer was giving me indications that they couldn't come up to the price, and I didn't read the room that meant if that didn't happen, then they were going to go to another property, and I didn't pick up the signals to get ahead of that and chat about that with my seller.
So the lesson?
The lesson is when you have a feeling, a gut, it's like anything in life. When oh, I shouldn't do this. The pot's hot. Like I shouldn't touch it. We don't listen to our gut. Or this person's a bad person for me. This is a bad relationship.
What would you tell a younger agent just starting out? What advice would you give a young agent?
You got to work hard, man. I mean, that's the reality.
And what does that mean?
I mean, that means being like the first guy in and the last guy out. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Is that where you see young agents fail?
Everyone's got their different method. But as an entrepreneur, when you're doing the accounting, the marketing, the prospecting, the paperwork, there's not enough hours to do all that if you work 8 hours a day.
As an entrepreneur, which is what you are as a realtor, right? You have to be self-motivated. You've shared with me in the past some creative things you've done. We've talked about your annual Sotheby's meetings. Want to share a couple of stories?
Yeah, I mean, that was a great moment for me. Scary moment.
What was that?
And then to have the party go off and just see it all unfold. And
tell us what happened. What are you referring to?
So for me, you can generate business and leads through internet and mailers and stuff. I'm one to host, and so there's this global networking event, Sotheby's. You can go and meet agents from all our different offices and generate referral business for yourself, which becomes a good
from other agents.
From other agents.
Okay.
So we have this global networking event. It's set in Vegas. I'm going to the first one. I skipped the first one.
This is how many years into your career?
This was like year 3.
Okay.
Or the first year in, they had the event. I wasn't ready. You didn't know what I'd do there, and waited. So the second event, I'm strategizing with, a buddy in my office about what we're going to do at the event. And I said, I'm going to throw a party in my hotel room. and invite people.
Yeah.
And he goes, that is the stupidest idea in the world.
Really?
People are going to think you're a bloody pervert to drag them away from the conference to come to your hotel room. And I said, no, we're doing it. I'm going all in. You know, join me. You know, I want to get this huge room, and you'll pay half. I'll pay half. And we check in at the Wynn.
That was pretty bold.
Yeah, didn't know how it was going to go, but I just had this idea that people would want to.
And how'd you promote it?
We actually didn't have a promo plan. So this is what went down. We pull into the Wynn. We're checking in, and he's like, dude, you got to pay me back. Like, this is the stupidest idea. No one's going to come. You know, I'm out. Like, I don't know what the hell you talked me into, but like this room costs a fortune, and we're buying all this liquor, and everyone's going to want to be at the function. Like, you know, like, I'm so pissed, and I'm going to pay you back. Don't worry about it. I'm so sorry. So we run out in a taxi to Smart and Final. I get like, you know, pretzels, chips, some plastic bowls, a bunch of, like, a whole shopping cart of Prosecco, beer, wine, waters, bring them up to the room. And there's an app that they just started that year for a social media app for like the 2,000 attendees to be on. I take a photo of the room, of the bar. I say, we're in this suite. You know, the event doesn't start till 7 o'clock. We're doing happy hour from 5 to 7. Anyone's welcome. Door starts knocking. People are dressed up. Business cards. It was a private pre-event cocktail party that I've now done 4 years in a row. All 3 nights of the conference. I team up with two other guys from different markets, and the rooms just got bigger. The parties got greater. We have 50 people up per night.
And what's come out? Obviously, it's a great thing.
What's come out of it is that, you know, people then follow up. They say, we appreciate that you invited us. You want to create the feeling of, you know, something special, something exclusive. And that's where I've really built my referral network within Sotheby's, with these relationships that started at that, you know, cocktail party.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on this, you know, celebrating this milestone?
I mean, other than just the gratefulness, you know, for, it's not a one-man show. I mean, you know, I have like Eric who's filming this. You know, we had a lot of key people that come around and, you know, pull this off. And so I'm really, really blessed for that. I'm blessed for, you know, the office and the colleagues and the mentorship and the company that I'm at. And I'd kind of put it back to you and say, what would you think from the outside as a, you know, top executive, CEO, marketing consultant? How do you see, you know, me or, you know, my colleagues or other young entrepreneurs?
Well, I think it's always a case of having a growth mindset, right? And as you said earlier, there's no ceiling to that. So as long as you're always learning and growing, that's always a great attitude to have. And just want to commend you on what you've achieved in this past 10 years. It's amazing. It's inspiring to me. And you're building an amazing investment base. You're building, obviously, a great client base. It seems like you've really set yourself up well for the next 10 years. So well done.
Awesome, mate. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, buddy.